is for running a mixed RealCare Baby 3 and RealCare Baby 4 classroom. My name is Emily Winnestorfer, and I am on the marketing team here at Realityworks, and I'll be your moderator for today's presentation. If you aren't familiar with us, Realityworks began back in 1994 with the very first infant simulator, Baby Think It Over. Since then, we've grown into a 100% employee-owned company, creating hands-on learning tools that pair with curriculum to help educators teach career exploration, technical skills, and life skills. Our mission has always been the same: to support teachers and prepare students for success in school, careers, and life. Most recently, in July, we launched RealCare Baby 4, and we are excited to help you bring this new simulator into your classrooms alongside Baby 3. With that, I'm thrilled to introduce today's presenter, Denise Dubois. Denise is the creative lead for RealCare Baby 4 and has been a senior family and consumer science product manager here at Realityworks for over 17 years. She brings more than 30 years of experience in education, professional development, and product management, and is a frequent presenter and trainer and writer on topics for family and consumer sciences, health sciences, and human services. Denise also serves as a co-chair of the Alliance for Family and Consumer Sciences and on the Executive Council for the National Consortium for Health Science Education. So she is truly an incredible resource for today's presentation. Before we get started, I do want to cover a couple things. First, today's presentation is being recorded, and all attendees will receive a link to that recording along with a copy of the PowerPoint and the resources that Denise will be sharing. For joining us live, you'll receive a certificate of completion that will be emailed over to you within 24 hours after the presentation. We'll have time at the end for Q&A, so please feel free to drop your questions in the chat or the Q&A section located at the bottom of your screen. And with all of that said, I'll go ahead and pass things over to Denise to get us started.
Thank you, Emily, and welcome everyone to our session all about running a mixed program with RealCare Baby 3 and RealCare Baby 4 models. The true focus of today's time is going to provide you with information and tips for effectively combining your program with minimal disruptions. It's very easy to do, so we're going to share a comparison of the features so you understand the differences, but also the similarities. We're going to show you how to program things, how to grade and do assessment, and even how to use the brand new student app with both models. And then we'll also address a little bit about the new curricula as well. So let's begin. Let's take a look at some of those new features of the RealCare Baby 4. Here is an overview of the new features, and we'll just touch on them briefly so you understand what we've added. But the most important thing to know is that RealCare Baby 4 does everything that RealCare Baby 3 did, but even more. If you're able to program RealCare Baby 3 now, programming is effectively the same way. You've just got some more features. So we'll talk a little bit about each, but you will still have an accountability system, but this time it's going to be a Bluetooth-based ID system. So when the students wear the ID, it's going to be a different ID than RealCare Baby 3, but it's going to have the same purpose. It's going to hold them accountable, and it's going to be recording all of the care that they give their RealCare Baby. But it does make it more seamless, so when you start a care event, you don't need to hold it up to the baby now. You simply pick the baby up and proceed to provide the care. Control Center software is going to look very much the same, just with some additional information. You are able to program RealCare Baby 3s and 4s from the same software platform. So you don't have to go to two different places. When you begin to program, it will recognize whether the baby is a 3 or a 4, and you'll be able to program simulations and also run those demonstrations. The one change we've made to the software is you are now able to do start and end times on the minute instead of the beginning and end of the hour. And you may recall we have in classic RealCare Control Center software, we have 15 schedules. Those 15 schedules will still be available for 3s and for 4s. However, for the 4s, you will also have 15 new schedules, which are based on the 15 original, except it has some of those new care events in them. And then the reports will also be updated to have a little bit more information reflective of the new features that have been added. We have updated the curricula, so now there are two of them. One is a focus of high school, and the other is a focus of the middle school level, and we'll take a closer look at those in just a little bit. The baby itself looks pretty much the same. However, if you turn it over, it will always tell you which model you have. And on the back of the baby, it will say RealCare Baby 4. The baby, though, has some very exciting new features, and one of them is voice recognition. If you talk to your baby, it is going to babble back to you, and it's one of the students' favorite new features. Also, we have added a new care event, and that is a playtime event with a rattle. And baby now has a belly laugh. And when it laughs, that's the start of that care event. And you're going to interact with the baby. You're going to shake the rattle, and the baby's going to be laughing intermittently. But again, a great new care event for students. And then we've also added in some additional infant health and safety things. One thing is a tummy time blanket because we want to encourage students to lay the baby on their tummy for tummy time when they are awake. However, when the baby is asleep, you would want it on the back position because that's the safe sleep position. In the app, which we're going to also be talking about in a little bit, you have the ability to take a temperature of the baby. And then also we've added one mishandle event, and that is dangerous sound exposure. So now when baby is exposed to sound over 94 decibels, it will go into mishandle cry, and that will be recorded as a mishandle or abuse event. So here's a look at one of the screens on that new RealCare Baby 4 app. The nice thing about it, it's a free app on Android or on iPhone. And whether your student is taking a RealCare Baby 3 or 4 home, there are parts of the app that the RealCare Baby 3 users can also use. Some of the new things about it that are only pertaining to the fours that we will want to point out are the real-time status information. Students are able to look on the app and see if baby is off or on, if it's in a care event or a mishandle event. It also gives real-time reporting to students. So now students can look and they'll always know how are they doing on all of the care events. Did they miss some? Are they seeing mishandle events? Are they seeing some patterns? So they no longer need to wait till the end of the simulation to find out how they did. They are now able to make mid-simulation corrections. And those are two things on the app that only the RealCare Baby 4s have access to, but really exciting. However, we have added some things into the app that both 3s and 4s can use. And one of those is what we're calling the journaling or the notes section. Both of the students that take home either model will be able to access the free app and download it onto their phones. And then there is a journaling or a notes section each day when they access the app during a simulation. A scenario will appear that's a problem-solving scenario involving infant care. And they read through that, and then in the space provided, they answer how they would handle that, and then they submit it to you as the instructor. Both 3s and 4s can do that. Also, there is in that same area, it's really an open notes section where instructors can also come up with their own writing prompts or things that they want students to submit to them during a simulation, and they can use that field as well. And 3s and 4s can take advantage of that. Both 3s and 4s can also take advantage of watching care event videos on the app in case they need a refresher. There are safety instructions, there are FAQs, but they also do have the ability to do that, taking the temperature or the fever of either infants 3 or 4. So there are a lot of good things in that app that even if you don't have the new models or you had a blended program, your 3 users can also be taking advantage of some of those features. Here are a few of the new supplies and accessories that go with RealCare Baby 4 that do differ from 3s. We have added a toy rattle. It's the purple rattle that you see on the screen. It will fit in the baby's hand, and that is an event that only the 4s will have. When baby goes into a play event, you can shake the rattle nearby or put it in their hand and shake their hand, but the baby will giggle, and it's very interactive. Tummy time blanket really could be used on either infant because there's not a sensor in it. We're just trying to encourage students to be putting the baby on their stomach while they're awake. The student ID can use the same wristband that consumable wristbands that threes can use. However, the ID is different because it is Bluetooth. So if you have a mixed program, it's very important that you use the correct ID with each of the models. And then the new babies, the new RCB4 babies, come with a slightly different colored two-piece outfit. So visually, you will be able to tell the difference between the threes and the fours just by the outfit they're wearing as well. But there are many other accessories and supplies that can be interchangeable between your threes and fours. So if you get some of those things mixed up, it really doesn't matter because they will work with either model. So that includes things like the diapers and the bottles. If you have a breastfeeding device for feeding, chargers are the exact same way. Also, diaper bag, same model. And then of course our car seat or infant carriers will work with both models. We talked about the wristbands, and then all of our storage options work with both as well. Here's a visual feature comparison between the RealCare Baby 3 and the RealCare Baby 4. Again, the most important thing to know is 4s do everything that the 3s do, just a few more things. They have that new carry event, the play event. They have the new mishandling event, which is that dangerous sound exposure, the encouragement of the position for the tummy time and the safe sleep position, and of course, talking to the baby, that interactive piece, and then the app. And there's, again, several things on the app that threes and fours can also do. Now we're going to get into how to program using both models for a maximum success for your program. And we know that demonstration mode is one of the most important best practices that you can do to prepare your students for the take-home simulation. And for both the threes and the fours, you can run demo from the very same screen. And you can see on the screen here that for the carry events, it does indicate that the play event is only for the RCB4s. So if you have a mixed population, it's still very, very easy to do a demo from the same screen. And if you want to do some individual event care practice, 4 of the 5 care events are the same between those babies. So you could choose one and then rotate the babies among your students so they have many opportunities to handle and do each care event. If you wish to demonstrate the play event, put only the RCB4 babies out with the rattles and have students rotate using only those models at that time. So it's still very easy to get all of your students the hands-on practice they need to do all of the care events before you send the baby home for the simulation. Now, in order to build up student skills in demonstration mode, you can keep adding events and put them on a continuous loop in random order. You can include RCB3 and 4 babies in this exercise. Students would take turns rotating and handing off the babies at the beginning of each new care event. Remind them that each care event does have a slightly different cry, and if they pay attention to the audio cues provided, they will pick up on this. And the audio cues for like a feed event is the same on 3 and 4 and diaper and so forth. The only event that differs is that play event. So RealCare Baby 3 and 4 are also programmed for a simulation from the very same screen. And we've really tried to make it as efficient as ever to program a full class to deploy. Now the procedure is exactly the same as you've always done. The only difference is the start and stop time can now be programmed by the minute and also some of the schedules that are available. So let's take a look at that. When you schedule an RCB3, schedules 1 through 15 will appear because they do not include that new play event. But when you're scheduling an RCB4, you will see schedules 16 to 30, which do include the new play event. Now, if you want to do all of the same schedules, just keep it all RCB3 schedules and not do the new ones. In the schedule order that you see on the screen here, days 1 through 5, that's where you can manually have the ability to choose which schedules you want. And again, schedules 1 through 15 are those classic ones, and 16 through 30 are the ones that include the new play event. But you also can still do random, easy, medium, and hard mix if you don't want to choose the individual schedules yourself. So we tried to, again, make it very, very easy for you to schedule from the same platform. Let's talk about tummy time. Tummy time will require your students to put the baby on their tummy for tummy time during the simulation. And as an instructor, you can ask them to do it a specific number of times if you'd like. If your student has an RCB4, this data point will show up on page 2 of the report. Now, if your student has an RCB3 and you want them to do tummy time, they can go onto the app and then record in the notes portion on the app what time they did tummy time, and they could submit it to you. So either way, you could use that. And again, the blanket will work with either of the models. And for both, you could also give your students writing prompts that have to do with tummy time that they can answer and submit on the app. For example, and here's one I had, what is the recommended amount of tummy time for a 3-month-old? Or you can think of some of your own questions. So interacting with baby, the speech recognition, you can, if you have students that are taking a 4 home, you could require them to talk to their babies so many times during a simulation. Now, this is also going to show up on the page 2 of the report as a data point. RCB4s are the only ones that will have this data on the student report. And if you'd like to take advantage of that feature, you could use that perhaps as an extra credit as part of their grade, or if you wanted to, again, you could tell your RCB3 users you also want them to talk to their baby so many times during the simulation, and each time they do, they could go into their app in the notes section and they could type in what they said to their baby and submit it at that time. Thereby, you would have a running record of all of the times that they have thoughtfully spoken and interacted with their RealCare Baby 3. So it does work for either way. Loud sound exposure is one of our newest mishandle events, and the RealCare Baby 4 will react to loud sounds. And it's handled like any of the other mishandle events like head support failure or rough handling, where it will take points away from their simulation grade if it occurs. No, RealCare Baby 3 does not have this feature. So again, if you wanted to have your RealCare Baby 4 uh, students, if they don't do that mishandle, maybe it's an extra credit bump, or you could change the rubric in the software to not count or have 0 points for the loud sound exposure if you want to keep everything consistent among your students. Just a few ways that you could do that. Now let's take a closer look at our RealCare Baby student app. All the students can download the RealCare Baby app for free on Android and iPhones. And we do provide instructions for use to teachers in the Quick Start Guide and also to students in the downloadable participant care card. Whether your students have RealCare Baby 3 or 4, this is a free app in iPhone and Android, and either one of them can download it. And then they access different features on the app. So each baby can do different things. There's a lot of things that 3s can do, but of course, there's a few more things that the 4 can do because it is a Bluetooth-based app. So you can see for the 4s, they get that real-time status information and the real-time feedback, which are really key, game changers for the student experience. However, if you've got a mixed population for a while, you can certainly be taking advantage of those scenarios that pop up every day, the notes section to include some of those extra features. Have your students remind them those videos are available, and they also can take the baby's temperature and determine whether it's a fever. So to take baby's temperature off the app, depending if you have a RealCare Baby 3 or 4, there's a different button that you press, but once you're into the temperature taking portion of the app, it's all the same. So the students are going to hold the device up to their baby's forehead and press the start button, and then it's going to take the temperature and it's going to say baby's simulated temperature. And then students need to determine, is this temperature normal or does this indicate a fever? And then describe any steps they would take if the baby in their care had a temperature of this. And then they submit it to you. So we think it's just great that either 3s or the 4s have the ability to do that specific task. Using the daily scenarios. Now, RCB3 and RCB4 babies can both interact, like we've been telling you, with those daily scenarios that come up on the app, and there's over 50 different scenarios that could appear. Each day when your students access the app for the first time, a scenario will appear that they can answer and submit to you. This is what the notes field looks like, and you can use the notes field in any manner you choose for both the threes and the fours while the babies are in simulation mode. And we have just a few suggestions here of ways you might wish to use it. If there are certain bits of information or writing prompts that you would like to have students journal about during their simulation experience, that's great. You might have a daily question about infant health, safety, or first aid that you want them to answer, or even talk about infant developmental milestones, the physical, intellectual, emotional, and social. So things like that make great topics for them to have to write into the notes section and submit to you. All right, let's now take a look at the curriculum with a blended baby program. Basic infant care is the high school level curriculum, which has 15 lessons. And if you taught all of it, it could be up to 25 hours of content. We know that teachers many times will pick and choose from among things, but there's a lot of good content here, activities, handouts. There are slide presentations with all of the lessons, lecture notes, and even assessment built in as well. And all of the lessons can be used with either RealCare Baby 3 or 4. The only one lesson or that might be different is with the simulation experience at the end. You may have to adjust it just a little bit based on some of the new features of the RealCare Baby 4 if you have a blended program. Here are the lessons that come with our middle school focused curricula, life skills, and healthy choices. Again, we've got 15 lessons and roughly 11 to 13 hours of content. Again, you can pick and choose. Each lesson is a standalone lesson, and all of them can be used in conjunction with RealCare Baby 3 and 4. Like it does culminate with that simulation experience near the end of the curricula, just like in the basic infant care. You might have to slightly adjust based on your mixed population. But for middle school, we always recommend maybe a one night simulation rather than two or more because of the age level and maturity range. Let's take a look now at some of the grading and assessment tactics that you can consider. We have adjusted our two-page report that comes out automatically at the end of the simulation. We we have added the new feature information and data points to each of the reports. And on the screen in front of you here, we have highlighted what the new information is that will appear and how the reports will look different. Again, they look very much the same. However, for the care event, we have added the fifth care event, the play event is now added to that portion of the simulation report, as well as on the mishandle column, we've added that loud noise exposure. And on page 2, some of the additional data that we now do track for RCB4 will be the tummy time, and then the talking data that when you talk and interact with a baby, and the total minutes of talking time. So if you're familiar with the reports that come with RealCare Baby 3, these will look very, very familiar even with the fours, but we just have more information for you. Here are a few grading tips that you could consider if you have a blended baby program. First of all, use that RealCare Baby Guide app for both models whenever possible. If you want, you can create a rubric for those daily scenarios that your students submit. You could require that they do one a day and submit those and then grade those at the end. You could use the notes section for data prompts of your own choosing, whatever that might be. And then you could also use the notes section for proof of the tummy time or the talking feature on the 3 while you use those same features on the newer 4s so you could get that for both. And then perhaps if you want to use all of the extra features on the RealCare Baby 4, you may give some of your more advanced students or those wanting that extra challenge, perhaps they get the 4s and other students get the classic 3 models. And then, of course, you can always use the curriculum to provide more of those graded assignments that can be given to all of your students. So I've been giving you a lot of information to this point. Now I would like to open it up for any questions you might have on any of the information or the difference between the models that you might have at this time.
Awesome, Denise. And while we wait for those questions to come up, before we start to the Q&A, I just want to take a quick minute to share something with you all. Here at Realityworks, we always are curious to learn how you are using RealCare Baby in your classrooms. So I'm going to drop in a survey. It only takes about 3 to 4 minutes. And as a thank you, the first 50 respondents will receive a $5 Starbucks gift card. We'd really appreciate your feedback. So if you have a moment, please feel free to fill it out. That would be wonderful. And with that being said, I will go ahead and answer any questions that anybody has. And Denise, one question that came in is someone got an email on our promotions and they are wondering how they can get a quote with that promotion that we currently have running.
You can reach out to us, and the current promotion that we have is you buy three and get one free. And we have never had that good of a promotion for Real Care Baby in the history of the company. So it's good through October. So take advantage of that right now if possible. So you could scan this QR code, and that will connect you with your local Realityworks account manager. And that you can also request a free quote by reaching out to us as well. But there's a lot of information out there. We have implementation guides, more archived webinars coming up, videos, and all sorts of things on the product page for RealCare Baby 4 as well. Emily, are you seeing any additional questions from our audience today?
I am not seeing any additional questions coming in at this time.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for spending the time with us to learn the differences between threes and fours and how you can successfully run a blended program. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.